Hello and welcome again to another day of classes. Today we're going to be continuing with the Interchange 5th edition level 2, the blue book, and today we're going to be continuing with the unit 14. In the previous class we were talking about meanings of gestures and body language with the unit 14, that is now I get it, and we were talking about modals and adverbs. Today we're going to be following with this and we're gonna see a couple of things, okay? So let's jump right in. We're gonna start with the perspectives. That's what the first thing for today is. Okay, let's see. Rules and regulations. What do you think these signs mean? Listen and match each sign with the correct meaning. Okay, so let's listen and read this. You're gonna put the correct definition for each sign, and then we're gonna check, okay? Okay, so let's listen.
Page 95, Exercise 8, Perspectives, Rules and Regulations, Part A. What do you think these signs mean? Listen and match each sign with the correct meaning. A.
You can swim here.
B.
You aren't allowed to take photos here.
C.
You have to fasten your seatbelts.
D.
You've got to take off your shoes to enter.
E.
You are allowed to park here.
F.
You can't turn left.
G.
Pets aren't allowed in this area.
H.
You have to turn off electronic devices in this area.
Okay, very good. Did you get the answers? If you did, well, let's check. Well, the number one, this one here, you have got to take off your shoes to enter. Number two, you can swim here. Number three, pets aren't allowed in this area. Number four, you are allowed to park here. Number five, you have to turn off electronic devices in this area. Number six, you have to fasten your seat belts. Number seven, you aren't allowed to take photos here. And number eight, the last one, you can't turn left. If you have these answers, very good. You are correct. Okay, let's continue. We're gonna go straight into the grammar focus for today with something that is really interesting and important in English, and it's how to tell the difference between permissions, obligations, and prohibitions. If you notice, in this example, we have multiple different things. For example, in this place, you're not allowed to use you need to take your off your shoes to enter. In the number five, you aren't allowed to use electronic devices, or you have to turn electronic devices. In some cases, you can swim, you can park, you have to fasten your seatbelts. You can take photos, you can turn left. Some of them are prohibitions, and some of them are necessities, and some other are obligations, okay? And we're gonna be looking at the differences of them in just a moment. Okay, we have some examples here, but as always, I have some different, material to help ourselves. And we're gonna be talking specifically about the models of possibility, obligation, permission, and necessity. We're going to talk about all of them, okay? Okay, so let's start with the models of possibility, the one just as a reminder of the thing that we saw yesterday. We use may, might, and could to talk about present or future possibility. We can substitute may, might, and could for maybe, perhaps, or probably, which aren't modal verbs. Those are adverbs. We can say, I might study math. I may pass chemistry class. I may eat dinner at 8. Where is my wallet? It could be in the room. In all of these different A scenarios, we're talking about possibilities, things that are probable to happen. Okay? And it's basically this. It's what we saw yesterday. It's actually quite easy. But okay, let's see this. Models of obligations. The main verbs of obligations are must, have to, and should. These are the three main verbs for obligations. Okay. The past of have to and has to is had. You know, in both have or has, you use had if you're talking in past. Must is for personal obligations, and have to is for general obligations. Okay? So if you're using must, it's only to refer to one person. Only one person needs to do something. And have to is for everybody. For example, if we say you must stop here, it's like you're telling one person specifically that that person needs to stop. But if you say you have to wear a seatbelt when you drive, that is for everybody. It's not just for one person. You must answer at least one question. That is for a personal thing. But all of this is obligations. You have to do it. Okay? Yes or yes. You should call Mary. I know she misses you a lot. Okay? In this case, the difference is that should is more as a recommendation, but you're still obligated. It sounds like a recommendation, but you still need to do it, okay? She looks sick. She should go home. I must do some homework or some work. You shouldn't have smoked. You can also put it in negative. I have to return the book now. I had to wear a school uniform when I was a child. Okay? As you can see in all of these are obligations. Okay, let's continue. Models of permission. In this case, permissions. Okay, we can use the model can to talk about permission or ask for thing at present. Can I ask a question? Can I go outside, please? Can I borrow your black coat? Can I come in? Can I hand in my assignment late? In all of these cases, you're asking for permission. It's like asking if you're allowed to do other things. Okay, we can also use could and may to talk about general permissions in the past. However, we cannot use could, it's a could, or may to talk about permissions for a particular action in the past. Okay, so we're talking here with could and may for permission about general things in the past, general permissions in past. But if you're talking about a specific action in past, it's not that. You cannot use could and may. You would use can, okay? Could my father join us tomorrow for dinner? That is also permission. Could I borrow your book? Permission. May I use your notebook? May I go to the bathroom? That's what we used to say when we were in classrooms. But well, you can give permission and saying someone has permission by using those. You may take this Saturday off from work. You can use our resources for free. You can come with us. Passengers may sit anywhere. Okay? So these are the models for permissions. Okay? Some models are relatable and related verbs used to talk about prohibition. Okay? These are some models that we can use to talk about prohibition. Mustn't and can't, or must not or cannot. If you notice, they are the morals of permission and obligation, but if you use it in negative, then it's prohibition. If it's prohibited, it's because it is against the rules or the law. You cannot do it because you're going to have a bad consequence because of that. You mustn't smoke here. You can't smoke here. If you're in a place that where you can't smoke and you do it, they are gonna take you out of the place. Okay, so that will be the consequence. Some others, you're not allowed, or I mean, not be allowed to, or not permitted to. Is like you're not allowed to, you're not permitted to smoke here. Be forbidden to. You are forbidden to smoking here. For when something is forbidden, is the same. It's prohibited. And the same word, prohibited. Smoking is prohibited. You're forbidden to smoke here. You're not permitted to smoke in here. You're not allowed to smoke in here. All of these are different ways to say something is prohibited and you are not able to do it. Okay, I mean, you can do it. You have the physical ability to do it, but you should not do it and you must not do it because it is against the rules of the place or that you are in. Okay. And then we have the models of necessity. Okay. Is need, the verb without to, is used in negative and interrogative sentences. Also, we can use don't have to, doesn't have to, or didn't have to in past, must for the same purpose. In the affirmative, we use need to express the necessity. Okay? So we use basically for the models of necessity, it's need. It's when you express that you require something, yes or yes, in order to fulfill or to do anything. Okay? He mustn't be late for the meeting. It's a necessity for him. As the and the same time that it is an obligation, it is also a necessity. I must be careful not to upset her. It is a necessity at the same time that it is an obligation. Usually obligations are necessity or it can happen that an obligation is a necessity. For example, you must eat food every day. It is a necessity and an obligation, even if you want it or not, because that's something that you need. They must leave immediately. You don't have to give me money, but I can give, but I can if you want. You need to do the exercises. They are obligatory. In this case, you see, necessity and obligatory, it's similar, really similar. You had to try hard for the match. I must study next week. Okay? Very good. I hope that you understand this part. It's actually interesting. It's just remembering a couple of models and everything will be okay, okay? So now that we saw all of that, now when we see this, it's going to be way easier. Okay, we have the ones for permission, as you remember. You can swim here or you're allowed to park here. Okay, these are the ways to say that you have the permission. For the obligations, you have to fasten your seatbelt. You have got to take off your shoes. Okay, so these are the ways to say with the obligations. And the prohibitions, you can't turn left. Pets aren't allowed in this area. Okay, so it is exactly what we have been seeing with this. Okay, very good. I hope that you understand this part. And if you do, let's try to do this exercise. Okay, you can take this couple of minutes to complete this by writing some sentences about what things you're prohibited, you're obligated, or you have permission to do with these signs. Okay, so take your time to do it, and then we're gonna check. Okay, you finished? Let's check. So we have for number one, okay, we can do it another way. For number one, you have to or you have got to use the stairs in case of fire, or you can't use elevators. Both of them are correct. Number two, you can't or you aren't allowed to listen to music in class. That is a good one. Very good. Number three, you have to or you have got to throw the trash in the garbage can. Very good. Number four, you have to or you have got to put your cell phone on vibrate. Okay, you have if you have that, very good. Number five, you can't or you aren't allowed to eat or drink in this place. Very good. Number six, you can or you are allowed to park your bike here, but only your bicycles here. Very good. Number seven, you can't or you aren't allowed to record or tape the lessons. Well, I'm doing that right now, so in this case, you have the permission. Okay, number eight, you have to or you have got to show an ID with photo to enter. It is required. If you go to a discotheque or something like that, it is necessary. Okay, very good. I hope that you got everything correct. If not, you can go back to the video and watch it again if you still need to, to try it a bit more or to understand it a bit better, the permission, obligation, or prohibition. But I know that you understand this and you complete this in a flawless way. Very good. Okay, let's continue. Now we're gonna be having a listening. We always love listenings. It's called road signs. You're gonna listen to four conversations about driving. and you're gonna number the situations they are discussing in the correct order from 1 to 4. So we have these 4 sentences, and you're gonna put 1 to 4 depending on how the things happened, okay, in the order. At the same time, you're also going to answer the question, how did they find out about the traffic situations, and write what happened, okay? So we're going to be doing both things at the same time. But remember, if you need to listen more than one time, you just need to go back in the video and watch it again and listen again, okay? Okay, so let's listen.
Page 96. Exercise 11. Listening. Road signs. Part A. Listen to 4 conversations about driving. Number the situations they are discussing in the correct order from 1 to 4. 1.
Huh. That seems strange.
What is it?
All these cars have their lights on. It's the middle of the day and the sun is shining.
Well, we are driving in the mountains, and these roads are pretty narrow. Oh, and look at that sign. It says all cars need to have their headlights on for the next 5 miles.
Oh, you're right. I guess lights can only help us in these conditions.
2.
I wonder why that traffic officer is signaling me.
Perhaps he means you're driving too fast.
No, I don't think so. The speed limit is 60 and I'm only going 55.
I wonder why there are no other cars in this lane.
What do you mean?
Well, you see how all the other cars are in the lane next to us?
You're right. I think this one is just for buses and taxis. They really should put up better signs around here.
3.
Oh no, not another parking ticket. That's the second one this week. Why did I get a ticket for parking here? I thought this was a free parking zone.
Maybe you can only park here after working hours. Is there a sign around anywhere?
Oh, you're right. There's one over there. I didn't even notice it. Looks like you can't park here till after 6 p.m.
How much is the fine?
$60. Can you believe that?
4.
That's weird. The last few cars driving toward us were flashing their lights.
I see what you mean. There's another one.
Maybe my lights are on or something. Let me check. No, they're off.
Do you think there's an accident up ahead? Maybe you'd better slow down.
Oh, now I see what's happening. There's a patrol car up ahead checking people's speed. How nice of those other drivers to let me know. Well, I'm within the speed limit.
Okay, very good. This was really interesting. Did you get all of those? Okay, if you did, let's check. Well, number 1 is that the drivers have to turn on car headlights on mountain roads. Number 2, cars can't be in the bus and taxi lane. And number 3, cars are allowed to park in this area after 6 p.m. And the last one, number 4, drivers must drive within the speed limit. Okay, if you got those like this, you are correct. And did you also get the second part? Let's check. Number 1, she noticed that all the cars had their lights on. He saw a sign that says all cars need to have their headlights on for the next 5 miles. Number 2, the traffic officer was signaling her. Sorry. There weren't any other cars in their lane. Number 3, he got a parking ticket. There was a sign that says you can't park there until after 6 p.m. The other cars were flashing their lights. That's number 4. The other cars were flashing their lights. He saw a patrol car up ahead checking people's speed. Okay, really interesting, really interesting. And this is really necessary in everyday life, okay? So I hope that you're understanding this part and you're getting it good. Okay, very good. Now let's go for the last thing for today. That is our reading. It's called understanding idioms. This is really interesting. Okay, you can stop the video to read this part, and you can stop the video to read the second part. Okay, now and after you read all of this, let's do these two activities right here. You're gonna read the article and correct the false statements below. You already read that, so now you can correct these statements. You can guess the meaning of an idiom if you understand each word. In the past, people knew about important events when they heard shouting. A camel falls down if it has to carry too much water, and sailors used to feel sicker when they went to the bottom of the ship. Okay, so take your time to complete that. You finished? Let's check. Well, you can't guess the meaning of an idiom if you understand each word. In the past, people knew about important events when they heard bells. A camel falls down if they have if it has to carry too much straw, and sailors used to feel better when they went to the bottom of the ship. Okay, you have this. Very good. And now for the last thing. Complete the sentences with the correct form of one of the idioms. Julie has a bad cold at the moment, and she is. Mhm. I don't remember his face, but his name. Mhm. When the neighbor's noisy kids broke my window with their ball, it. Mhm. Okay, if you completed it, okay, let's check. Julie has a bad cold at the moment, and she's feeling under the weather. Okay, I don't remember his face, but his name rings a bell. When the neighbor's noisy kids broke my window with their ball, it was the last straw. Okay, very good. This is actually quite interesting because there's a lot of people that actually communicate by saying a lot of idioms, not only in English, but in a lot of languages. And it's really interesting and important to start to understand or know more idioms because in that way you can understand more people. So that would be great. Okay, well, that's been everything for today. I hope that you liked the class for today, but that's been everything. On the next class, we're going to be continuing with the Unit 15, so I hope that you look forward for it. But that's been everything for today. See you on the next time. Bye.